recording. Hi, I'm Elaine Brewster, and welcome to Aspects of Energy, where we talk about ways to raise your energy. Today, we have a really wonderful guest, Mary Jazz Mayer, who's going to talk to us about Reiki and some other things. When my husband was dying, I felt the need for more energy workers. And so I just sent up a petition to heaven and figured that God knew who they were and knew the right one. And so a gal came over, and I'll just invite everybody else to mute except for Mary Jazz. We have to remember to do that. Anyway, this gal came over and worked on my husband. It was so interesting. My husband was lying down then. And I can do that too. Her hand was, like 4 inches above my husband. She was never even touching him, but she could tell, all these things that were going on. And when she finished, he said, "There, Scott, now you have gotten rid of everything negative in your body. You are now in a position to come back and have a wonderful life because you know how to live now. Or you can move on and stand before God and say, I'm clean, I'm ready. What do you want me to do?" And that's what he chose to do. But I believe my friend, who was this Reiki worker, a Reiki master, but I don't really understand it. And so I'm hoping that maybe Mary Jazz can help all of us understand a little bit more about Reiki and some of the things that that can raise our energy. So I'm just going to turn it to you, Mary Jazz, and hopefully the rest of us will mute and we'll be okay for you.
Okay. Well, this is such an honor to be here with all of you. I, like Elaine, lost my husband after some health issues. He had an undiagnosed for 50 years in his body, hepatitis C. And so when it was discovered, he was in end-stage liver disease. So he was on track to get a replacement liver, which at the time I didn't realize that the body had the capacity to totally regrow liver, which is just amazing. So there were people who were willing to donate to him and all kinds of things. And like Elaine's story, my husband's life path was one that led him to a great deal of spiritual awareness and then a choice to leave. And I was aware of that process in the 10 days that he was in the ICU before he died. And they certainly were not easy days. However, I realized so many gifts from that time, and have worked through a lot of things around energy healing, which my husband and I were, I have been a student of for many years, but it was never my livelihood. It was never my main focus. Both of us were graphic designers. And so we sort of connected to the spiritual through the creative, which I believe is one of the wonderful ways that the spirit shows itself. I also sought out a lot of support from other people, because when you're in that kind of experience, it's really pretty overwhelming. There isn't a lot you feel like you can do on your own. There were a number of different ways to approach stress and anxiety and overwhelm and all the things I was going through as a soon-to-be single mom at that time, just really hoping that this disease could be kept in check. But it was way far along by the time we discovered it. And so it led me to a lot of things that I'm now doing, one of which is that I have a great deal of compassion for loss and grief. And I also have come to some realizations. The loss of my husband was not my first grief rodeo. I had lost my dad when I was 19, two siblings, one when I was 2 and one when I was 13, and several other more to be expected deaths, grandparents and others. And then just recently, my mom a few years ago at nearly 99. So one of the things that I've realized is that the process through grief, I think we've kind of been short-changed by the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, 5 stages of grief, and then what, are we done? And so I realized that we have some common factors around grief, and one of them is a very, very typical experience is the blame, shame, regret, guilt path. I coulda, shoulda, woulda done something different, done more, been there, seen this, handled it earlier, whether it or even things that can feel like deaths to us, losing a job, losing our mojo. I mean, depression in some ways is a death of joy, and financial losses can be the death of prosperity and the death of hope, those kinds of things. So I've discovered they all have very common links together, and that many, many things go back to what's our energy field holding about these experiences. And so when Elaine told me about this experience of having this friend basically say, "You're all clean," and having her put her hands over someone and see this happen, and hear it and sort of know it as a truth, and then to have to face the bigger truth, which is you can stay or you can go now. Interestingly, the 2 weeks before my husband passed, or before he went into the hospital, I was at my mom's, and she used to hold a weekly meeting for people who were involved with the ARE, which is the Association for Research and Enlightenment. It's the organization that supports the teachings of and works of Edgar Cayce. And she held that group for 15 or 20 years. And somebody was just coming that week to speak about a near-death experience. And they had a very unprofessionally filmed, but very authentic capturing of this woman's story about being a lawyer who had no connection to faith or religion or whatever. And she died for 8 minutes. And she talks about that experience of being given the choice of staying or going. And she described the choice of going back into this incredibly slow moving body when she had had the taste of being spirit, of being light, of being bright, as being such a difficult choice. Like that one held so much, like, oh, wow, I get to be all that I am again. And yet she chose to come back and share this story and share what she learned in that experience. And that's, it's probably something for another conversation, but it reminds me of what my husband gifted me with after he passed. Was that I've been a flower ashes practitioner for 40 years for myself and my family and very close friends. And just now starting to bring it out as part of my offerings through my business. And in that, I learned to do kinesiology, which many of you who are Nikan reps know how we use kinesiology to test our water and to see how it is for people. And what happened was I was able to communicate with my husband very directly after his death, with using the kinesiology, I started to ask questions. And one of the things that he gifted me with was this amazing vision. He said to me, when I said, I keep getting this word keeps coming up, liberation, liberation. And I said, and he said, that would be a very accurate description of what I feel as a soul. And he sent me the image of a rose, this very tightly, beautifully presented red rose. Is one of his favorite images, his favorite flowers. And he said, when I was on earth, I had everything I needed to be fully and completely me, like in this perfect way. And then he sent me an image of that same rose turned into, it's fully bloomed. And he said, but it wasn't until I died that I could expand into all that I am, that I could fully expand into all that I am. Meaning that he could be not just an aspect of God, an aspect of love, but be all love, all God, all everything. And it was such a gift to be able to have that experience as a sense of great solace and relief. Even before he died, there was not this great clinging to life. It really is your choice. And if things get too hard, I respect that you want to go. And I became aware the night before he died that he had made that choice. And I still respect that, as that's what his soul path was. And it doesn't mean that it didn't take away all the aspects of the little mind that want to do blame, shame, regret, guilt over all the things I could have done to keep him here. And yet, excuse me, I'm so grateful that that I have his connection in this deeper way.
Go to Miller's, go restroom there.
Someone's iPhone is still on. That's right.
It's just a small room. You open the door and you're right.
Maybe that's one you can do, Elaine.
Yep.
So
You were
anyway,
such a great
I was so touched by this connection and very honored to have that ability to talk with him and to have that connection. And I love that I have taken myself through the journey of grief and loss. And it's still ongoing. I think it will be for all of our lives as new people and situations pop up. Just last week, I lost another a very dear friend of the family who had been through a great deal of struggle and all kinds of things. And he was an amazing healer who never opted to be a healer. I was very pleased to have had that experience with him. He was a phenomenal singer-songwriter and had a really tough life as a dad. He lost both his legs last year. And I think it brings me back around to the Reiki thing and being able to put your hands over someone and see, feel energy. And I'd like us just to sort of step back and go, the whole term about energy, we're, as Nikan consultants, many of us understand energy in a very different way. We've seen it in a way that it's passive, but incredibly helpful. I don't know, the first time I ever put up my insoles, it felt like somebody was massaging my calves. I was like, this is pretty cool. Um, and we know the benefits of how the energy comes into our water and helps it feel better and work better and all kinds of things. Um, and sometimes we can turn energy into something that's kind of hard or different, or, well, you're an energy healer, and you're not. Well, we're all respond to energy all the time. I think if we were to pay attention to even walking into a room, and being aware of what's going on when nothing's being said. You've probably all been to gatherings. Maybe you can raise your hand and say, yes, I've been to a family gathering or a gathering of friends where there's just been a fight, or there's just been something that's made everybody a little chilled. And you walk in and you're in a good humor, and all of a sudden you're met with this different energy. We're all always being energetic all the time. Um, and it's so interesting for me to just start from that place of helping people recognize that energy is our our natural language. It's how babies communicate. It's how kids, they want to get our attention. They change their energy from happy and bright to one that's, I'm frustrated and I'm not getting what I need. Um, and so I try to really demystify it and not make it a special thing. And even though I get referred to as an energy healer, my strongest and deepest belief is that all healing is self-healing. All of it is about our divine connection and our divine um, um, way of outpicturing our lives, and that we have far more choice than we know, and that all of us have capacity um, to be healers in our own right by changing our own energy so that other people's energy has the possibility to resonate with that. Um, and so Reiki was introduced to me by a student of mine who I taught energy processes to the year before, and she was offering a class. And so I did first and second degree Reiki with her. And it was an honor and a lineage that she passed along with a great deal of reverence, with a great deal of respect. And I have seen Reiki become more, I guess it's not unlike yoga, that those who were practitioners for whom yoga was a lifestyle and a practice, not an athletic or a physical activity you did, 4 times a month. That Reiki was introduced to me by someone who deeply respected and deeply honored that lineage and really spoke about that very much in our training. And so it's something that I have not opted to, or I've opted to really honor that when I use it with people, that it is not something I post the images on Facebook and those kinds of things. There's plenty of information out there. And my belief is that we're all getting to places and spaces where energetic, healing energetic, the way of being as an energy being is becoming more accessible to more people. It's becoming less demystified. It's becoming less of if you're a Christian, you're not an energetic person. If you're, like that, they've kind of created these camps of people that if we don't understand it, it's something that must not be divine. And I just kind of say, you need to check in with yourself about what all that is. I love the aspect of Reiki that is hands off, because what it's allowed the our medical community to do is to let it into hospitals. I knew that there was a huge shift when I drove past my mom's community, a small community here in Virginia. Their local hospital had a big sign on the kiosk about Reiki classes available. And I was like, wow, now that's something I never expected to see 10 years earlier, that it was pretty much in the area of just being kept in its own little, um, I guess it's smaller groups of people. It's really exciting that it's now an acceptable form of support in hospitals. Now, it's still discouraging to me that they believe that touching the body is not something you should do, which I have a strong disagreement with that, that I believe that we're starved for touch, and that having a loving touch to someone is one of the most healing things you can do. And so it's probably one of the reasons that I don't practice Reiki as much as I practice other forms of healing support that do include touch. I do love the fact that it's distance healing. I love the fact that there are many people who consider it a very honoring blessing to offer Reiki. I have in a friend's group, and if any of you want to be part of it, she's a lovely woman who's healed herself from cancer 3 different times using EFT tapping and Reiki. And she sends Reiki blessings every morning. And I love that. I think there's never a time that we get to be so far along our path that we stop also being students, at least for me. I'm loving that part. I guess the one, just the segue I want to make to the next bit was one of the things that was so life-changing for me after my husband's death was when I started to investigate other kinds of healing. And in part as a tribute to my mom when she said, you're really good at that. And I think you ought to go do it. Which was fascinating because my mom was very much also, she was this great merging of science and spirituality. She read everything there was around all kinds of sciences that helped solar nanotechnology, all kinds of things. And then also was this very devout Catholic and metaphysical, was at her knee that I learned about past lives and Edgar Cayce and other things. And the gift of her and my parents in my life was to be able to say, just because you believe in science doesn't mean it negates things in spirituality. And just because you believe things in spirituality doesn't mean that science has all the answers either. I love that they sort of put forth the idea that you can be part of the club, the Catholic Church, and still not believe all the club rules, that you need to trust what you know personally, what's your path. So I really respect that. And I love to honor that with other people as well. Like, I really don't get wrapped up in where people come from in terms of needing to meet my, how do I want to say this, that I'm open to wherever someone's come through from their spirituality, and it's not my place to present them with that another way to believe. I believe my role here is to facilitate them to trust what they know based on what they do believe. And so I think Reiki is a wonderful adjunct to that. But when I started to do energy work in other modalities, I had a very, very visceral experience in my very first class where they just said, okay, put your hand on this person's ankle and ask for this energy to run. And I expected that, okay, I might feel this little, I really didn't know what to expect. And I was shocked. Within moments, I could feel something flow from me and change in their body under my fingers. And I was like, that was a little bit, it was a bit of a surprise. But the great thing about it is that when you truly are in the flow of gifting and receiving energy, it is a blessing to you as well as a blessing to the person you're supporting. So, Elaine, do you want me to talk about a couple other things that I was going to gift people with? At least 3 free things that you can do to right now, or, you know, 3 free things that you can do to change your energy quickly and easily. Would anybody be up for that?
I think we all would.
um, so, the first of which is something that I learned years and years ago that I have just found to be deeply helpful. And it's, I can't even remember all of the other things that it was taught through, but it's a very simple process and it involves using your hands and your breath. And so I just invite you all to, I'm going to demonstrate it and then let you try it out. So it's called an FO hold, which stands for frontal and occipital. And those refer to the places on the brain that you're activating by putting your hands there. So we're going to put the hand in the front of the head and the hand in the back of the head. It doesn't matter if it's your right or left hand or how. And then we're just going to take 3 good deep breaths. And I like to let it, you can hear them when they go out. And this is one of the fastest, easiest ways I've ever found to be in a stressful situation that you're starting to feel you're getting a little nervous or anxious about, or someone's just even cut you off in traffic and you're at a standstill, and you can put your hands on the top of your head and hands in the back of your head and breathe and let it flow out. It's the way I begin most of my sessions with my clients, is to let them do this. Now, one of the things it does is, the reason it works really well is that the frontal part of the brain is where we think new thoughts. And the back part of the brain, this occipital part, is actually where we see. Our vision comes in the front and it crosses midline, and then we see in the back. It basically presents all those images in the back. And the part that it's ignoring in the middle is where we normally put in our emotional content, where we put in our past stories, where we put in all the things that have hurt us and upset us and whatever. And so by putting your hand here, you're actually creating a circuit that goes down the front and around all the way to the back, but ignores the part in the brain, the middle, that's trying to make us emotionally upset about what's going on. Because if everything's neutral, everything just is, it's only our past and our projection of the future that creates anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. It's the fear of what we've been through in the past and the fear of what might happen in the future. So I encourage you to just use this, even if at work you have to sneak off to the bathroom. And sometimes when I'm driving and I can't put both hands on it, I just do this and just intention that my hand's back here. And my body knows that I've done it enough times that that's what I'm doing. So I just encourage you to use that FO hold whenever you have any kind of situation that feels like starting to get stressful, or maybe you're already in total overwhelm. You've just gotten a phone call from somebody that's told you some news, whether it's sad or something where you feel attacked or upset. And the 3 breaths seems to be just enough to kind of let the reset happen. So that would be gift number 1. The second freebie thing that I would recommend is there are a ton of wonderful things in the EFT world. So I'm also an EFT practitioner, and EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, or tapping. And it is based on a 3,000-year-old Chinese meridian system that works in our body. And rather than having someone put needles in different parts of your body through acupuncture, or having someone do the same thing through acupressure around your body, you're just limiting it to places on your face and upper torso. And the EFT tapping has found that there's so many studies that have come out that have the science to back up actually the brain scans and the other things to show you that literally when you're doing this work, you're resetting the fight or flight mechanism in your body, your amygdala in your brain. And this work has been shown to be as effective as behavioral cognition for about 6 months. And then after 6 months, the behavioral work tends to need a reinforcement, whereas the EFT work that's been put in place and doing about the same thing has a greater residual effect long term. So that things that you have taken the stress off, changed your reactions and patterns to, using EFT stay longer, which is wonderful and fascinating. And I love it because I call it truth tapping. And the reason I say that is that it brings up two different truths that we have going on in our body at the same time. One is the truth of the moment. At this particular time, the person I was just on the phone with was really rude to me. And that makes me feel really disvalued and what of that. So that might be an experience you're going through. But the deeper truth is, and yet I love and accept and honor myself. Or yet I know that I am a divine being for whom all of this is just, experience in the moment. That's what I talk about in terms of the deeper truths. So EFT tapping is one of those things where you can just do some things and you can just state what you're feeling. The simplest form of EFT tapping is I feel. And then being able to go, I'd love to feel this way. I wonder if it's possible to feel a different way. So just using those as simple places. And if you want, I can take us through a little bit of a round of that and show you where the points are. Are there people here who are familiar
Please.
with EFT? Yes. Okay. So EFT basically starts with a setup statement, and we use this karate chop point, this place on the hand that would be where if you were doing a karate chop, you would be hitting this part, but you're doing it on your own hand. So you're using your little fingers. It doesn't matter if it's the right on left or left on right or any of those things. I tend to switch it up just because that feels good to me. I'm kind of a very kinetic person. I like to move. So I often do that with my patterns. So the pattern we could do is, even though someone's been rude to me, I choose to love and honor myself anyway. Even though someone's been rude to me, I choose to love and honor myself anyway. Even though someone's been rude to me, again, I choose to love and honor myself anyway. And then we're going to start on the head, and we're going to use these different points. So one is the edge of the little bit of your eyebrow. So your body gives you all these points and makes them very easy to find, the very inner edge of your eyebrow. This person's really been rude to me. And you would say that and repeat it. If we were doing a session together, you would do a call and response. So at this other side, this is the other end of the eyebrow. I'm wearing glasses here. It's at the end of the eyes. So this person's really been rude to me and it really upsets me. Then we're going to go to the bone under the eye. So you just very lightly touch those. It really kind of pisses me off. And then we're going to go to the place underneath the nose. We're just going to, the spot between your nose and your upper lip. You can do it with one hand or both hands. Doesn't really matter. It reminds me of times in the past where other people have done this to me. And we do the space between the lip and the chin. That's called the chin point. It's this little divot in there. I can't believe they're doing this to me. Then we're using the, let's see if I can the collarbone. So you can do it with a fist, you can do it with 2 hands. It's just these points here on your collarbone. And then, let's see, I can't believe someone's been rude to me again. And then we can tap either under the breast or just go underneath the, this is the bra strap point under your armpits. And you can do one side or both sides. I tend to do everything symmetrical. So this person's really been rude to me. And then we go to the top of the head and we just tap around there. I'd really like to feel different. So we're going to do that round again with just, so eyebrow point. I can't believe someone's been rude to me. It reminds me of all these times in the past where someone's been rude to me. It really kind of pisses me off. I wish there was a different way to feel. And it really bothers me because it brings up the fact that it let me be angry. And I don't want to feel angry. But I do feel upset. And I can't believe they did that to me. Then we're going to do it round that's a little more positive, which is, I wonder what else is possible here. I wonder what I can do to lower this feeling of resentment and upsetness. I wonder what I can do to dissipate this. Well, I'm doing it right now. I'm taking some action. I'm expressing what's upsetting me. And I'm making choices for something else. I'm making a new choice. I love that I have the power to make a new choice. I love that about myself. I love that I can easily and quickly go from being upset to knowing that I can feel differently. I love that I have the ability to do this for myself. It's beginning to feel a little bit lighter. I can breathe again. I don't think I'm going to stay upset with him. I love and honor myself on all levels. And then you can just shake it out. And you guys can use this for any kind of situation, that the truth is what you're experiencing in one reality. And the deeper truth is, what's the real core of your nature? And what do you want to bring forth? And obviously with things that are very big and very traumatic and very stressful, I certainly did I did hours of this when I was driving back and forth after my husband's death, and I was just in this great grief. I would just drive and wail, letting this grief out. I would just just cry. And it literally felt like this big pool of grief was being dissipated every time I did it. Like this immense hurt was being lifted by just expressing it in a way that my body got heard, and I didn't hurt anybody in the process. So that's gift number 2. And the third one, I want to just share with you something that I use. There's a woman who does a kind of work called, sorry, I'm going to see if I can find the link here for you. Have you ever heard of, you may have heard of yoga. Have you ever heard of Yoga Nidra? Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is a deep relaxation technique. And I've been fortunate enough to be in a yoga class where we've done 60 minutes of yoga, doing all kinds of beautiful stretching, and then 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra, where you get propped up with pillows, and the practitioner goes around the whole room and gets us all into this wonderful state of relaxation. And then she goes through this process. I don't often have 90 minutes to do that. And it doesn't often show up when I really am in need of unwinding. So I have a favorite video that I'll give to Elaine to post with the follow-up video. And this woman does a form of yoga nidra that's 20 minutes long. And it just literally is a step-by-step relaxation of parts of your face, and then your torso, and then your legs and body. And I often am not awake to consciously do the rest of it by the time I get to that place. But I wake up when the 20 minutes are over, and it's like I've gotten a couple hours of sleep, and it's wonderful because it's honoring my body, and also giving myself a chance to just be calm and laying flat and whatever. And I also do it laying on my Nikon's cocoon, so it's probably helpful in that way as well. But those would be my top 3 freebie things that I would share with you. And then there's some things that I do that are not free, but they're really inexpensive to do. I thought I'd ask for some feedback on what we did already first before I go into that next phase, if that would be okay. Does that work for you, Elaine?
Absolutely. Go ahead and just unmute yourself if you want to say something to Mary Jazz. I loved that. That's really wonderful. And how
Okay.
nice for things that we can do for ourselves immediately.
Absolutely. I like things that, because tapping is something you can even do just doing the collarbone when you're on the phone with somebody who's being upsetting, it's amazing we naturally do this. The old Southern, have the vapas thing was sort of, we're told to tell people, if you have to give them bad news, to have them sit down, because literally our electrical system loses its ability to hold us up. And so this just tapping on the collarbone when you're talking to somebody, and tapping like this when you're having a conversation. You can do it even on Zoom calls when your speaker's just being annoying. So does anybody have any questions so far?
Go ahead and tell us 1 or 2 more things.
Okay.
I have a simple one.
Okay. Hi, Eric.
Hi. These are basically for yourself, right? Is there
Correct.
anything like this that for others?
Well, yes. These are things that you can use for yourself, and you can teach them to others, certainly. This is one of the things that you can, kids love to learn these things. There's some great books out there for EFT tapping for kids. They're using it in school systems now. They're done a whole series of programs that way. There's some simple books on being bullied, and how I feel about myself anyway, and those kinds of stuff. There's great support for the FO hold. I think is a wonderful thing just to teach our families and our kids and our loved ones around that. And of course, anything you're doing to make yourself more calm and less triggered is a gift to other people. And is there a specific situation that you're thinking about that you would love to have some support for, Eric?
Not specifically. I do have a sister-in-law right now battling cancer.
Okay. There's some really wonderful ways to, and if there's, if you want, I want to talk separately. I also have individual people that if you wanted to talk with them about their specialty around that, I know an amazing amount of healers who do that work as well. EFT is often a technique, as I said to you. This friend of mine, it has used EFT as her primary modality for dealing with breast cancer, and has had wonderful results. And she's a traditionally trained nurse as well, so she has lots of things in that way. One of the things that I'm really excited to share with you guys is some low-cost ways to support yourself as well, which come in the form of flower essences. So I was chatting with somebody ahead of this meeting and was reminded that for some people, they hear the word flower essences and they sometimes confuse them with essential oils. So I just want to make a distinction about this, which is that essential oils are made from the literal plant matter, and they're often distilled or used. They're gathered in such a way that you have the physical object of the plant that you're working with. And essential oils really require someone who's a pretty well trained in it, because there are oils that shouldn't use full strength on your body. There are essential oils that should only be put in carriers, should only be used aromatherapy, in an aroma way, not touching your body, because they're too strong. And I think it really takes someone who's devoted to that work to work with you. So I use them personally for a few things. I'm just a real flower girl. I love any essential oil that smells wonderful, but please understand that some of them are toxic in these very concentrated areas. So just beware when you go to use them that you should ask a lot of questions, read the bottles, make sure that you're not just assuming that they're like a perfume and that you can put all of them on. So the essences that I'm talking about are called flower essences. They are the energetic pattern of a flower that's been captured by keeping the petals or some aspect of the plant in water, and then that water is infused with the energy, and then that water is then preserved in generally either an alcohol brandy mix or in a vinegar mix. So we use some preservative to take the mother tincture and put it into a smaller tinctures. So I have a couple. This is something I've been doing for over 40 years. I first came across flower essences in my 20s, and there's a wonderful place here in Virginia, in Culpeper, Virginia. And this woman named Michelle Smallwright, about 45 years ago now, started this piece of property and started selling her flower essences. She wrote a book that I consider one of the most life-changing books I had read at that time, called Behaving as If the God in All Life Mattered. And she's a very pragmatic, practical woman who actually has been gifted with an amazing ability to hear the intelligence of plants, and she grew up assuming everybody could hear the plants talk to them, and then was a little surprised as a young girl to find out that no, people thought you were kind of crazy when you had that ability. She is now in her early 70s and is an amazing gift to the world, in my opinion. One of the things that she has provided that I love are these two products. This is called Emergency Trauma Solution. Let's see if I can put that in front of and it's from a place called Paralandra Limited. And these bottles cost about, well, this is a little bit bigger one, but the smallest bottle you can get from that is someplace in the $10 to $15 range. And this is called Essence of Paralandra. The Emergency Trauma Solution, she has one for people, for pets, for plants, for the soil, for the environment, I use this Emergency Trauma Solution kind of like, it is a first course tincture for me to take when someone said something upsetting to me, when I'm having just a tough time, when I got the phone call or about my friend dying. Sometimes it throws me to a little bit of an overwhelm, and I'm like, okay, I do my little tapping, and I also grab this sometimes. I love to have it around for other people. And they have them, she offers them both in brandy and vinegar for those who may be sensitive to either one of those. I'm a wholesaler for those. And if you want to, work out a way to help me, help you, I love that too. But these are things that I love to offer to people who've had a tough day. They are great things to keep at the office. They're wonderful things to have at the moment to help other people. And, with Eric, with your friend with cancer, that entire diagnosis is fraught with fighting the demons in your head about whether, how to put yourself into a positive spin about it. It is an ongoing process of coming to peace with that experience. And the other thing, I have another favorite flower essence site that I love. It's called Green Hope Farm. And Green Hope Farm has probably well over 1,000 essences that they provide. Some of them, the majority of them, have beautiful photos and descriptions and wonderful things. A couple of my favorites from there, and their essences are like $8 for the small bottle, and or eight and under $10 for whether it's a single essence or whether it's a combination essence. One of the ones that I love that you guys will probably appreciate as energy people and Nikan people is one called Golden Armor. And it's a mixture of flower essences, all put together, guided by, she works with angels and elementals when she makes her mixtures. And I have felt nothing but love and light come from this site whenever I visit it. I just absolutely adore it. And I'm so honored to be a wholesaler for her as well. We basically worked out a phenomenal way for me to be able to send people to her through my connections. And just to let you guys know that flower essences are not some just off the wall thing that you may not have ever heard of. She has a mailing list of 43,000 people who are active customers. I was just kind of shocked by knowing that I wasn't the only weirdo out here that had grown up just being connected to flowers. And one of the things I love about flower essences is, to me, they're such a gift because they provide for us a connection to the natural world that I've heard it said that, for every ailment there is on the planet, there is a plant or remedy that exists here that can help us with it. And I love that. Everything from finding medicines in the rainforest to, developing heart medicine from digitalis to, before there was patented medicine, there were flowers and plants that gifted us with their beautiful healing powers. And I love the fact that flowers, so you have seen, I have this beautiful arrangement that's sitting here. These are all things that came from my yard today. And I just wanted to show you that even without you taking a single essence, you can get a totally different feel from different flowers. So this hydrangea, if you look at it, elicits to people a different feeling when you look at it than it would be to look at this. Oops, am I going the wrong way? These beautiful daylilies. One is very open and expansive and bright and sunny, and the other is vivid and intense and multi-flowered. This butterfly bush is an intense color. It has really teeny flowers that have an amazing aroma. The gift of daylilies, this is a standard daylily, or also called a tiger lily. And most people don't realize that daylilies have that name because they only live a day. One of my favorite essences from for entrepreneurs from Green Hope Farm is daylily, and its energetic gift is that I know how to begin something with zest and energy, and I know when to call it a day. It helps with discernment about getting excited about your projects when you need to, and know when something's run its course. And I think that's a very valuable gift as an entrepreneur. Maybe it's a good gift to know about customers and potential clients for your Nikan business as well.
Jeff, are the prices different in Canada than
Excuse me?
Are the prices different up in Canada?
I actually don't know. I know that I can find out for you though. I hadn't really thought to ask that, but I can find out for you. What I do is that people send me a list of what they like, and I just place the order for them, and it gets sent directly to them. It's drop shipped, and the people at Green Hope Farm love to decorate their boxes. They love to send personal messages with it. And in fact, up until this year, they never used any kind of credit system. They sent you ordered your stuff, they sent it to you, and you sent them a check afterwards. And they've been doing that for over 25 years. Molly is an amazing lady, and the wealth of information that she has. And she has essences from the island of Taiwan, from Scotland, from Ireland, from essences from, let's see, the Bermuda Islands, from, she has an entire Southwest collection. She has essences that were gathered. There's a whole set of essences for healers, a healer's toolkit, which address certain things that come up for people in the healing arts. She has an entire set of essences that are just for your lovely furry friends. Here's the animal collection. Now, the great thing about these is they're for people too. In fact, some of the things that's there, here's one called Outburst. I take the one for, and have people in my family that use the one for anxiety. There's one for grief and separation. There's one for breathing and for caretaking, all in this animal connection. I think it's their way to get people who are more animal people to actually be open to taking essences. In fact, I was going to say one of my, I was going to see if I could give you my top. What I'll do is I will send you a list of my top 10 favorite essences from Green Hope Farms, because there's some that are just so amazing. I use one called Vision that literally has been helping my eyesight, as well as it's about vision for my business, vision for life, vision for my future, that kind of stuff. The essence for, and she has a wealth of resources to help you with making selection based on physical things. So you can do that. Like one of the funny things that they have, what is a banana essence, is one of the things for teeth, because the banana flower itself, when it's closed up, looks like a little set of teeth. And sometimes the flowers just tell her what they're doing. There's an entire set of abundance essences that she says if you use, one of them is called Desert Gold. It's a plant that blooms all season long in the middle of a desert. And I'm just trying to see what the other ones were. So one was the Golden Armor. One is called, there is one that is now called the Timely Virus Mix, and it will be all that I say about the current virus. It is a wonderful set of essences to support people through all of the emotional stuff that comes up around this particular issue. It's a wonderful piece. I use one every day called wound healing, and it's for every kind of wound imaginable, emotional, physical, mental, um, and it's a beautiful support.
Mhm.
I have collected over 300 of them for myself and my clients, and wish I could gather some more from her. Every day that I'm there, I find some new beautiful things. And one of the ways that I use them in practice with people, the ways to help people, are that by using kinesiology testing, checking into someone's energy field and finding out what their body might require or desire. So sometimes the essence isn't so much that you have to physically have it in that moment as in this session, this flower and its definition and what its healing capacity is gives you an insight about what's going on under the surface. And I love the fact that it helps us unwind our stories in a gentle and easy way. I often describe flower essences as plants that have the ability to act like a good friend sitting next to you with all this wealth of wisdom. And by you sitting next to them and them comforting you, you kind of take in their wisdom until you're ready to develop it yourself. I love that aspect of it. Let's see. So there are. Let's see. So that would be my inexpensive ways to support yourself with the flower essences. Is that there's a wealth of information there. I'm absolutely delighted and happy to help people with selecting what would be best for them using kinesiology. It is one of my gifts is to be able to do that connection with people's energy fields and be able to give them feedback. So
that's a huge gift. We've got a question from Dee.
okay.
Hi, Mary Jazz.
Hi there.
It's been so wonderful and informative. I was just curious on the flower essences. Do you know the shelf life, either from the Green Hope Farm components or the other one that you mentioned?
Well, it's interesting because different flower essence practitioners do different things, and some of them interact with the FDA in different ways and the FDA's requirements. For instance, as I mentioned, I've been using Pearlandra essences for over 40 years. And because I usually use the ones in brandy. Brandy has a pretty long shelf life. And generally what happens is that if the bottle sits so long that the rubber deteriorates, it just tastes so nasty. You don't want to use it. But easily, I'm trying to see if they actually have I think she may have, I'm looking at it right now. It just says 23% brandy alcohol by volume. It's 2 fluid ounces, and they do sell some that are, I'd have to ask about it, but I would say, that several years is probably not an uncommon thing for it.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Any other questions? Yeah.
I think maybe we'll wrap it up. Wow. Mary Jazz, we feel so privileged to have had you today.
Oh, well, thank you. I just, I felt a little like I was just sort of fire hosing you with information, but I hope that if you're interested and if I can help you further, you would write to me at my email, which is maryjazzmayer@gmail.com. That's jazz with 1 Z. And I would love to offer you an extra special gift if you chose to do essences through Green Hope Farms and sent me a list, and you ordered at least, I guess it would be, let's do 5 essences, I would be happy to gift you with a bottle of the Golden Armor because I think it's so amazing. Molly says she uses it every day. They use it on their pets. They use it on their with their kids. It's the one that helps deal with EMFs, with energetic energies coming your way. As we're sort of talking about the aspects of energy, I thought it was a wonderful gift back to your community, and it would be for the people who were here on this call. And I would be happy to do that for you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Ah, that's wonderful. And, and just everything that we've learned also, and your spirit that we've felt through you, that you have truly raised our energy just by being you and being with us. And you all have. Everybody in the gallery, thank you very much. Really wonderful.
Yeah, blessing.
Next week we're having nice, Giselle. Next week we're having Bob Dishner, who's going to talk about Vet Trip and some of the veterans that he's known, so that we can celebrate the 4th of July, and that will be on the 2nd of July.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So go and have a wonderful day, and take that Mary Jazz smile and spread it out to everybody that you know, and that will raise your energy and it will raise theirs. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.